we're going to talk about another catcher. We try to slide them and sneak them in here as we can. Not going to dedicate a whole show to catchers because people don't really love catchers the way Ralph loves Tom Murphy. But we have talked about Gary Sanchez. We have talked about Murphy. I believe we talked about Wilson Contreras. Today we're going to talk about JT Realmuto. The reason we're going to talk about Realmuto is because he's now moved up to the sixth catcher off the board, 112 overall. And a little backstory and why I liked Realmuto up until maybe a week or two ago is that other than being Puerto Rican and my life being surrounded by them, well, me not being Puerto Rican, I'm talking about Yadier, but other than Yadier Molina being Puerto Rican and my life being surrounded by them, the reason Molina has been my favorite catcher has been the batting average. It's something you don't necessarily typically rely on for a catcher. I know there's your Buster Posies, and I know there's the Lucroy Goodyears, et cetera, but Realmuto has turned in a 300 average season at the catcher position. It's a lot to say maybe he's not a 300 hitter, but guess what? He is a 300 hitter. He did it. You can't take that away from him. Is he a repeatable 300 hitter? That is to be debated. And, like I said, while they exist, not many everyday catchers are 300 hitters. He doesn't give you a lot of power. Maybe he'll get you 15 homers max. He's got potential to get you 20-plus steals. His career high is 18 when he was back at Double-A. You add all that up, that's a Jason Kendall type of player. Jason Kendall in his prime kind of guy, where he's going to give you a high batting average. He's going to contribute steals. He's going to give you a little bit of pop. And you can rely on him every day in your lineup. That's a starting catcher that you would love to have. I have him personally ranked as my fifth catcher, and I definitely think he's in the top 10. But as I mentioned, the reason I've kind of soured on him is because he wasn't going as the sixth catcher off the board a couple weeks ago. Now he is. Might be getting a little priced out at this point. So, I'm still a little bullish on him, but I'd rather take him as the eighth or ninth catcher off the board as opposed to the sixth. And it might not sound like a huge difference, but we're talking a good 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 rounds in draft position.
Yeah, and with Realmuto, I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, he's a great source of batting average and steals, especially from the catcher position. He was somebody that I owned in a lot of leagues last year because he was dropping outside of the top 10 at the position. But some of the issues that I see is with a little luck going, either good luck or bad luck, one way or the other, he could have a pretty, pedestrian season, one that you probably don't want to target, especially as a sixth catcher overall. We could probably be taking pitchers, relievers, hitters to fill out your lineup, based on where he's going. I mean, he easily could have a 270 season with 8 homers and 6 steals, and that's just blah. I mean, you can get that off of the waiver wire. I'm typically somebody that believes in Franken-catcher, where I more or less stream catchers based on what their matchup is on a week-to-week basis. But on the other side of the coin, his upside is, especially as a 25-year-old, he's still relatively young. He could be a 300 hitter with 15 homers, 15 steals, maybe even a little bit more in both of those categories. And, that's a great season, particularly from a catcher. So, Realmuto is the kind of guy that it depends on what the price tag is. If there are some leagues that I'm playing in where people just don't touch catchers and he drops the last 4 or 5 rounds, he's somebody I could see taking a shot on because of what the upside is. But buyer beware if you're buying him, at the 6th overall, catcher off the board price tag.
Yeah, and just to give you some perspective, 2 players being drafted, one right before and one right after, are Rick Porcello and Javier Baez. That's the kind of company JT Realmuto finds himself in now, and I don't think he's in that company. So you're better off at that point waiting on a catcher. As we've talked about Tom Murphy, Ralph loves him. You can get him much, much, much later. There's other guys going after Realmuto at this point. I think Yasmani Grandal is one of them. I'd rather, I've talked negatively about him in some of the rankings you may have seen me post, but it's not because I don't like him. It's just because I don't think he plays enough games or will play enough games to maximize all the potential he has on a per-game average. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm passing on Realmuto at this point. While I loved him a couple weeks ago, I'm a pass now.
Pass.
So